Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of the Mario Chaos and the Kid Show. I'm your co-host, Mario Mancini. I'm a former WWF WWE for the purposes of not getting sued from 1984 to 1992. I'm also co-instructor at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling, along with Pretty Paul Roma, Big Steve Tracy, and the man behind the glass, and behind the glass every podcast, second generation grappler, Paul Perez. Seated to the right of me is a man who's double jointed at the waist. I'm not going to have to tell you what that means. He has done everything in this business. And lately, his main job is to cover my ass. He is none other than the Guardian of Chaos, the 2019 inductee into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, Big Daddy. Big Daddy, what's going on?
Hit it! Broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the stage, they just don't care. I can't take the smell, can't take the noise. Got no money to move out, I guess I got no choice. Rats in the front room, roaches in the back, junkies in the alley with a baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't get far. 'Cause MorningMen and Foul Nation repossess my car. And we'll get on to that subject later. Coming to you live from the Diadamo and Tracy Bail-Bond studio here at the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility. And seated to the left of me is a man who cloned his own genes, and now he sits beside himself. And that would be the Kid. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. How are you, Big Daddy?
Well, I can't complain, my friend. Let me just tell you something, Kid. I usually say this to Mancini, but you look tremendous. Who cut your hair? What the fuck did they do? Did they take out a bowl and put it around your head and hit it with the clippers? What the fuck is that?
It's a crown.
Who are you, Jerry the King Lawler?
Yeah, I'm the next Jerry the King Lawler.
Would you like to give a little shout out to your barber?
Her name is Lauren, but I don't go to the same one.
Well, you had explained to me before the podcast that you went to Hooters to get your hair cut. Well, now I can see.
I go to Hooters for something else.
Well, let's elaborate on that, Kid.
Hooters doesn't even have good food.
Well, they're not there for their food. That's where I come up with the saying, I'm as confused as a baby at Hooters. Do you get it? Fans out there in Paradise Alley and Twitter universe and whoever's listening, don't you get it? A baby. Now, you know I'm a grandfather. Mancini, are you well aware that I am a grandfather?
Weekly. I get the pictures.
Well,
The weekly Big Daddy grandfather edition.
Well, let me tell you something. She is a little ham. Let me tell you something. She's got a future. But just picture this. She's going to take Kapuna, Tutu, if you will. That would be me, her grandfather. I go into Hooters because I want to watch a game. I want to see maybe the playoffs. We're in the middle of hockey season. The NBA, spring training pitchers and catchers are right around the corner. No pun intended. So just imagine me going into Hooters with my granddaughter. And, as you can, they're well endowed. Hooters is not, as you said, Kid, is not known for their food. Fine chocks of land, Mancini. Some Lorna Doones, some Oreos, little Bambino. Is it lunch? Is it dinner? But anyway, I digress. We have a lot of things to get onto tonight, Mancini. How are you feeling? Because you look pretty good, too. Did you use that Ronco on your hair?
I use that haircut and vacuum, Big Daddy.
That's the Ronco.
The Ronco, the Flowbee.
Right. Oh, Paul Perez. See, that's why he is producer extraordinaire, the Flowbee.
What
Kid,
is that?
are you familiar?
I don't know what that is.
Mancini, he doesn't. Do we get it here? The demographic between 18 and 25, a la the Cream Team. And speaking of that, Roma prodigy, Flash Waller is somewhere, lurking somewhere in the building. I don't know what's going on here at the training facility. I heard the most marketable man in wrestling, Richard Holliday, may be on his way down. We just saw Slick Willie Thompson, Paradise Alley professional wrestling referee. A lot of things happening here, Mancini, at Paradise Alley. Say something funny, Mancini. That's all you got? You know what you are, Mancini, since you're not going to say anything. You know what you are. Go ahead. You know what you are, right, Mancini?
What am I, Big Daddy?
You're a cocksucker! That's what you are. You're a cocksucker.
Big Daddy, when I leave here, I have to go and buy new underwear.
Well, break it down.
Big Daddy, I don't know if scientifically my car seat is too high, but every now and then when I get out of my Jeep, I'm doubled over because my left nut rolls.
We went through this last week with your nuts, Mancini. They're like fuzzy grapes, peaches, grapefruits, if you will.
But Big Daddy, when we were the kids' age, did anybody tell you that you were going to go from the North Pole to, the South Pole once you hit 50?
Well, Mancini, now when you say the North Pole and the South Pole...
Big Daddy, did anybody ever tell you that your fucking nuts were going to drop like Mr. Ed
well,
on
I
a
didn't
Saturday
have,
after... No, what?
I didn't have that problem, Mancini. I didn't have that problem. I am all meat, no potatoes.
Listen to me. As I sit here, my nuts are actually resting on the chair.
I'm looking at your nuts right now, Mancini. I am looking at your nuts. And let me tell you something. I'm going to explain it like I did on episode 12 because we're episode 13 here at Mario Chaos featuring the kid. Mancini has, it literally looks like he's sitting on a beanie. What do they used to be called? Perez, tell me in the earpiece. Fuck it, I'm not wearing an earpiece. Perez, a beanbag chair. Is that what it was back in the 80s?
I used to have one of those in my room. You know who broke it? Angelo
from the Cream Team.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. How the fuck do you remember a beanie bag chair, but you don't know who, let's run it down. You don't know who Laverne is from Laverne and Shirley. You don't know who Michael Bolton is. Who else was a kid that he didn't know?
Most importantly...
Get back to your underwear, Mancini.
Most importantly, he has the benefit of having taut nuts. They're taut.
Taut nuts. Speaking of taut nuts, that brings back my prison days. God bless you, Mancini.
Thank you, Big Daddy.
That brings back my prison days, where I was, I was an instructor in the prison, Mancini.
Well, because, Big Daddy, you were behind the prison wall for 25 years. And ladies and gentlemen, let me clarify that Big Daddy was the enforcer. He was not the criminal. So... because of that, in those 20...
And there's nothing wrong with criminals. I have nothing against convicts, criminals. I have nothing against them.
Well, it's because
As a matter of fact, we are the #1 podcast inside the prison walls.
Because you were in there for 25 years. When you left, they gave you a gold watch, and they gave you a certificate.
Yes.
An MD, if you will.
Correct.
In cockology.
Say that again, Mancini.
Cockology.
That's right, fans out there. I am a cockologist, and I taught Cockology 101 behind the walls. Now, don't hold it against me. I was drunk. It was one time. He was wearing a dress. I tripped and fell and slipped into his mouth, Mancini. But, it was one time.
But, Big Daddy, that story doesn't top the story. When you were in Bangkok.
Well, we just recently were talking about Bangkok. Okay? Now, I want the kid to explain his trip to Bangkok. He was seen in several laundromats. Nothing against Bangkok. I like Bangkok, personally. Now, kid,
we'll have to take a trip there.
Did you get several rub and tugs while you were there? Because I asked you this a couple of episodes back.
I can confirm that.
You can confirm that. Well, it's like a sore dick. You can't beat it. Perez, you're going to have to edit that out. Did I just make your job tougher? I hope I didn't. So, Mancini, getting back to kid. So it's confirmed about Bangkok. Let's not get crazy. Let's not get off the rails here. Mancini, let's get back to, again, Pep, I'm sorry, but I always come back around and I tie it up into a little bow. Mancini, tell us about your underwear because I interrupted you again.
Well, Big Daddy, this is my theory. My theory is if I get a size smaller, then they will keep my nuts in. No, Perez is shaking his head no.
Perez is shaking his head no.
So, Perez, am I supposed to get those boxers that have the nut thing in them? Yeah, I get the boxers with the nut huggers.
Mancini, if you wear the boxer briefs and go into any local bowling alley, somebody's going to think you're carrying 2 bowling balls in your pocket from behind.
I got to tell you, I just... Do you think if I lowered the seat in my Jeep when I went to go get out, I wouldn't roll my left nut?
Now, is that with skin and all, Mancini?
Big Daddy, it fucking... You know the problem is? We all know what the problem is.
Tell me the problem.
We're all guys. When you initially roll the nut and you go into the pain, you got the pain, but that's not the part that sucks. About 35 seconds later, you get a stomach ache.
Mancini.
Big Daddy, let me ask you.
Go ahead, ask me a question.
Do you ever have your girlfriend play with your belly button? Oh.
Well, she might have got it mistaken.
Let me ask you something. How come when somebody digs into your belly button, I want to know why when somebody digs into your belly button, it goes right to the head of your dick.
It does, Mancini. You're right about that. That's a scientific question
we'll
that needs to be answered.
We'll have to go to Yale and do some testing.
Well, kid, you are the brains behind the media outlet here at Mario Chaos and the Kid. Figure it out, kid. Now, let me ask you a question. Is this a professional wrestling podcast?
Well, speaking of professional wrestling, a very good friend of mine this week passed away.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Mancini. As we also know that Frank Robinson, baseball legend, passed away today. Right before we came on the air, sometime earlier today, it was announced the very first African-American manager in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah, Frank Robinson. He was a good man, Frank Robinson.
Listen, like you always say, Mancini, and I'll quote you, salt of the earth. Now, does the kid know who Frank Robinson is?
I know who Frank Robinson is.
And let me tell you how he's going to have a lot of Frank Robinson stories, and I'm very happy. I get a lot of heat for this. But barring Phil Rizzuto, barring Frank Messer, barring Bill White, currently my favorite Yankee announcer is Ken Singleton.
Oh, Ken Singleton knows what he's talking about.
And Kenny Singleton was supposed to retire last year, but he signed on for another year. And, of course, you know, Kenny Singleton was a Baltimore Oriole. In fact, when he went for the job with George Steinbrenner, he said, Mr. Steinbrenner, I'd like a job as a Yankee announcer. He goes, boy, you were a pain in the ass when we played against you. Why would you want to be an announcer? Why don't you go announce for the Orioles? Yeah.
Now, Mancini, along with the legend Frank Robinson, now you said a close personal friend of yours, Mancini. I would like the audience out there to hear who you were talking about.
Well, it comes with a story.
Well, that's why you're here.
Would you mind a WWF story?
Fuck the WWE, Mancini! And I don't... Listen, kid, you get nervous, you jump.
Here we go again.
Listen to me. I don't mean fuck Vince McMahon. I don't mean fuck Shane McMahon. And I certainly would never say fuck Stephanie McMahon. Why the fuck would I say that? I love the McMahons. They own this business, even though they're being threatened from AEW, and we'll get onto that. It's the product. And that's why that everybody's jumping ship and going over to AEW, not because of the McMahons, who I love dearly, would never say fuck them. I would never say that. That's disrespectful. But fuck the WWE, and that's the product. When you got soap opera people instead of storytellers and true carpenters such as yourself, Paul Roma, Paul Perez, Booker T, whoever you want to talk about, then those are the people, the storytellers, who should be working in this business.
Well, I've said it a million times that Hollywood has no place in pro wrestling. And what should happen is the guys like Tito Santana, Greg Valentine, Bret Hart, Roma, Bundy, Jake. Well, not Jake, maybe.
Oh, no, listen, Jake is incredible. He's bounced back with DDP yoga. Let me tell you something. You and I have both had the snake thrown on us. The kid did too, but that was Ron Jeremy. That's another story for another time, the hedgehog. We both had the snake thrown on us, Mancini. Jake has made an incredible comeback, is doing a lot of tours, and you can credit that to DDP and DDP yoga. He's amazing, Mancini. But people like you who are storytellers, so tell the story. And I would never say fuck the McMahons.
Do you hear him, Peppa?
She's listening. No, she turned it off by now. As soon as I said you're a cocksucker, she turned it off.
So, Les Thornton passed away.
Yes, Mancini. A legend.
So, I'm up in New Hampshire and in half a dressing room. So, because when I went there, the ring boys, the cream team.
The cream team, a la the kids' volleyball. I'm sorry,
dodgeball.
Team
We're not playing volleyball.
All right, let Mancini tell us. Now, you're going to interrupt Mancini, too?
You interrupted him, then I interrupted you.
Peppa, do you hear this? The cream team.
Listen, Les Thornton, if I'm not mistaken, was also a legit shoot fighter.
He was an Olympic wrestler for England.
Go ahead, break down the story.
So now, I'm in New Hampshire, and the cream team...
Be quiet, kid.
The cream team says you go into that door right there because they know I'm a baby face, So I go in there, and SD's in there and everything, and the chief is the agent. So Chief shows me the pad, and it says Les Thornton v. Mancini. Says, who the fuck is Les Thornton?
Wow.
And well, I'm 18 years old, so I'm like, who the fuck is Les Thornton, So SD goes, don't worry about it. He's an older guy. He's a veteran. He'll take good care of you. He's a really nice guy. I said, okay, I can go talk to him. Chief goes, whoa. You can't go to the other dressing room without walking across the arena. I said, well, where's the outside? He goes, you can't get there. He goes, there's one entrance through here, through the arena to the other dressing room. So in order for them to leave, they got to come across the arena into the dressing room out our door.
And back then, that's when kayfabe was still living.
Kayfabe was alive
and well. I love kayfabe.
So now, Big Daddy, we had to be true professionals, which we prided ourselves on being professional wrestlers. Not like some of these youngsters today who have to go over a match 1,000,000 fucking times. Sometimes I think they go from the time they eat breakfast. What do you want to do tonight's match? Well, let's see. I woke up this morning, I had oatmeal. Then I went to the gym. Then I took a shower, and then they start going into the fucking match.
Well, one last question that did not get into that daily routine for the 18 to 25 demographic. And as I look at Flash Waller and now MIT, who has entered the training facility, two Roma prodigies that you can't miss here at Paradise Alley. We have the kid who's for Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful, so on and so forth. And as you read down that schedule of what you would do, where do they fit in the masturbation part of it, Mancini?
Well, anyway, Big Daddy, not like these youngsters today. So now I had a wrestling match. Okay? Strongbow told me what his finish was. So that means we had to go in there and lock up, and we had to wing the whole match, which I am proud to say, and I'm not one to brag about myself, and I don't have this big
You're very humble, Mancini.
I don't have a big ego at all. I am proud to say that I had no fucking problem with that at all. To this day, all you would need to tell me and tell Perez is what the fucking finish was, and that's it. That's all you'd have to say. And we'd go in there, and I guarantee you this would be the best fucking match of the night. So anyway, SD looks at me, and he says, listen, really nice guy. When you lock up with him, just say, "What do you want to do, old man?" He loves that, and he'll work with you.
Mistake number 1.
So now, me being 18 years old, I'm like, okay. Oh, I sounded like one of our friends there for a minute there.
Yeah, he's known very well in this area also.
I sound like one of our
he
friends.
He fucking
right
kayfabed me too, but go ahead.
Yeah, Big Daddy, I didn't mean to kayfabe you,
Well, he's another one of the cocksuckers who have kayfabed me in the past. But it is what it is, Mancini. Go ahead.
So, I go into the ring, and I lock up with him.
God bless you.
And I go, "What do you want to do, old man?" And Big Daddy, before I knew it, my right arm was up my ass. My big toe was in my mouth. My head was bent places that it can't bend. And he had me wrapped up, and he shot me, and I couldn't move. And he goes, "Are you going to be a good boy?" I go, "Yes." He said, "Are we going to have a good match?" I said, "Yes." That was it, and we did. But after that, I got to know Les, and we got to go on a road together. Actually, and you know what, Big Daddy? You can yell at me again because I have another flaw.
Yeah, you can't fucking remember the NAWA Slam Jam show. You fucking said you got a memory like an elephant. You said you're like Mike Francesa, but you can't fucking remember the one time that we did an event together back in the day. You know why, Mancini? And I'm not even going to say it because you already know. Go ahead.
I forgot you were there, Big Daddy.
You're a fucking cocksucker.
Anyway, Big Daddy, we want to, and I can't remember, believe it or not, but for some reason.
You can't remember.
I can't. But for
you remember when Zachariah Gibbs pinned you at the Mohegan Sun?
He got lucky!
Oh, he
got lucky! I wasn't looking! He's a snot-nosed kid!
He still pinned you
He's a
at the Mohegan Sun!
kid! I wasn't looking!
Yeah, you fucking remember that though, don't you? But you
I got him in the neck breaker!
Jam.
I thought he was done after the neck breaker!
Go ahead, Mancini, continue.
Anyway, Big Daddy. So, I can't remember the reason why, but Les Thornton came right to my front door in Milford and picked me up. In the back seat was David Sammartino.
Oh, there you go. You have a great Sammartino story.
So, is David Sammartino. So, he's in the back seat. So, I get in the front seat. I give Les a handshake, leaned over, gave him a little hug on his shoulder. He said, "What's up, mate?" I said, "What's going on, Les?" And he looked at me like with a side eye. And I looked him back, and I put my hand back to David. I go, "David, what's going on?" And he just shook my hand. He wasn't talking. So now we start driving, and it's silent. I'm like, what?
God bless you.
What? What's going on? I'm saying to myself, and Les is driving, and he's just looking over at me with the side eye. So I broke the silence. I'm like, so what's going on? So Sammartino turns around and he goes, "Neidhart went over with a power slam last night in Wildwood, New Jersey." And I go, so?
Oh, God bless you, number 4, Mancini. I hope somebody, number 5, and if you people out there are watching, every time Mancini belches, I want you to take a shot of Johnny Walker Blue. By the end of the show, you'll be trashed.
So
go ahead, Mancini.
They wouldn't make the end of the show.
So,
holy cramoly.
So I look back at him and I go, "So what?" He goes, "Well, that's my finish." And I said, "David, who cares?" I go, "What are you making, $3-4 grand a week? What do you care?"
It was a lot of money back then,
He goes,
Mancini.
"Fuck that. That's my fucking..." Yeah, it was a lot of money back then. Since Perez and I were making anywhere from fucking $125 to $300 a match.
Well, second generation grappler, Paul Perez, our producer.
If Perez and I were on a second town, we were whistling Dixie, man. That was good money. So he said, "Fuck that."
Really? I like that.
I said, David, another thing. What's with the David Sammartino? I go, why didn't you go with Bruno Sammartino Jr.? He goes, fuck him too. He goes, he never showed me one move. He goes, you know who taught me how to work? Larry Zbyszko taught me how to work. My father didn't show me how to fucking lock up.
I remember you talking about this story, Mancini.
Well, you got to remember something. I got the other side of the story when I was there in 1999, sitting with Bruno, spilling my guts to him.
You remember that though, but you didn't come check on me in the mop closet, did you?
So and I told Bruno he had hard feelings toward him. He goes, look, Mario, the kid got kicked out of every school I ever sent him to. He goes, he got kicked out of every school. He was just a problem. So back
to the vehicle with Les Thornton and David Sammartino. You're as bad as I am.
So we get to Poughkeepsie, right? We get to Poughkeepsie and we'll walk into the dressing room. And Les and I take a seat, I put my bag down. David just kept walking toward Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, a man that was very good to me and allowed me to be in his company.
I'm not.
For
You're
8
looking
years.
for me to say something to
8
Vince.
years.
I love Vince.
Listen. A fucking jobber that never sold one ticket. He let me stay for 8 years. Anyway.
Well, Mancini, when you came to New Haven, there was a capacity crowd of 1 on hand in that phone booth.
Yes. So anyway, he goes over to Vince and he starts talking to Vince and waving his arms and talking and waving his arms and talking and waving his arms. And Vince kind of just shrugged. He walked away with his bag in his hand, looked at Les and I and said, take care, guys. And I never saw the whites of his eyes again. That was it.
It's an amazing story, Mancini.
David was a bit of a prick. We were in Hartford.
Did you almost hesitate on saying
I did,
prick?
because you know why? Because I feel bad because, it's the Sammartino family, and Bruno's the reason why I became a pro wrestler.
So back to the story in Hartford. That's well documented.
I went up. Listen, this is classic Mancini, right? So I go up to him in Hartford in the dressing room. We were in the bathroom, in front of the sinks.
Question.
In front of the no. In front of the mirrors. All right, we were in the men's room at the sink, in front of the mirror.
Well, you know what they do at the men's room at the sink in the prison.
That's a famous spot for me, too, because that's when I walked in and Ken Patera was there. And I was 18, and I said, Mr. Patera, can you give me some advice on diet? And he said, and he was fixing his hair in the mirror, and he goes, of course I can. I said, thank you. This was before I even knew Roma existed. I said, thank you, Mr. Patera, and he's fluffing his hair in the mirror, and he goes...
Fluffing his hair.
He was fluffing his fro in the mirror, and he goes...
So he was a fluffer.
He goes...
Wow.
People are fat because they eat too much. People are thin because they don't. And he walked away. I said, thanks, Mr. Patera. Anyway, I ended up wrestling him in the steel cage that night. So anyway...
He was a fucking animal.
Yeah, he was. Patera.
One of these days we'll revisit that McDonald's story back in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was in the Hartford, in the same spot with David, and I said, hey, David, I really like that forearm that you throw. Can you show me how you do it? He went, absolutely. So I leaned down, I bent down, and he, cocked his forearm back. And he clocked me into next fucking Saturday as hard as he could. You know what I did, Classic Mancini? I stood up, looked him dead in the face, and said, not bad. Meanwhile, my bell was so fucking rung, and I'm looking him dead in the face. I'm going, not bad. I'll remember to throw it like that.
Well, Mancini,
I wouldn't give him the satisfaction.
One thing about you and your illustrious career in the WWE, which was the WWF, you were one of the most resilient workers to ever step in the ring.
Well, that's
and
what
you had testicular fortitude second to none.
Well, the WWE Encyclopedia doesn't say testicular fortitude, but it does say that I am one of the most resilient wrestlers in pro wrestling history.
Now, if there was a definition for testicular fortitude in the dictionary...
Would it help me from not rolling my nuts?
Mancini, they should put your picture next to the definition of testicular fortitude along with a pair of grapefruits.
Now, Big Daddy, should they put my head right in the middle of those nuts?
Well, what are you trying to say? Do you piss on your balls when you go to the bathroom? We went through this last week. And speaking of pissing, because we have to do it every podcast, we're in number 13. There's a lot of people filing in to the Diadamo and Tracy Bailbond studio here at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility. Paul Perez, the question is, pissed off or pissed on? I didn't even get a chance to finish it. And Perez, again, as he does as consistently as the kid masturbates, every week he says pissed on. Mancini?
Big Daddy, did you
Pissed
ever...
off or pissed on?
No, Big Daddy, I'm into a lot of things. I can be a bit deranged.
That's what I've heard.
But, that type of bodily fluid doesn't do anything for me. Now, I heard that some people are into that, in particular from a particular country.
Well, Mancini, we are all inclusive here at Paradise Alley. We don't care about race, creed, color, culture, sexual orientation. We don't give a fuck
Big Daddy,
about any of that.
I hear they're into that in Bangkok.
Well, we've already been to Bangkok several times. Now, back to the question at hand.
Bangkok's a city. It's a city.
Are you sure it's a city?
Yeah, it's a city.
It's the capital of Thailand.
Well,
Thailand.
If anybody would know, it'd be you, kid.
Of course.
Now, again, back to the question, because we haven't fucking talked about Paradise Alley, professional wrestling, AEW, none of the things that I wanted to talk about. How many minutes in are we? Oh, my Lord. We're over 30 minutes in already.
And we haven't talked about the WWE.
Fuck the WWE! Listen,
Big
kid,
Daddy, I always wanted to ask you one question, though.
Suckers keep interrupting me. Now I know what it feels like.
Just wanted to ask you one question. I'm just curious.
Well, go ahead.
Are you cut?
As a matter of fact, Mancini, I am. So what are you saying? Are you asking me if I look like an anteater below the waist? Is that what you're saying here on the Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast? No, I am cut. They took off an extra couple of inches, which I couldn't afford. I am a grower, not a shower. But anyway, I still didn't get a chance to finish the kid. Pissed off or pissed on?
Pissed off.
You know what? You're boring. I got two gentlemen from and just yell it out, guys. I'm going to go to Mr. Intellectual Tavius, MIT. Pissed off or pissed on?
Nothing.
Ooh, MIT said pissed on. That says a lot about his future career.
Listen, Big Daddy, I'm going to tell you why he said that. Listen, you know I've graduated law school, right? So
yes, I'm well aware of that.
I've been to law school with guys like MIT, and here's the problem why he likes to be pissed on. Okay? Because
break it down.
Guys like that are kind of like savants. You know,
savants. That's excellent, Mancini. Go ahead.
So MIT is like a savant.
A savant.
And when you're a savant, you kind of get a little confused. Not so much with your sexuality, but your preferences. You kind of get, how can you say, suave.
Suave de bonheur?
Or yeah.
Okay, I'm familiar with
something. So I am not surprised at all that a man with an IQ of 178 would like to be pissed on.
Well, I'm very impressed. MIT must have went to the Paul Perez grappling school, because let me tell you something. MIT can throw a hell of a pirouette elbow. Perez is training him, I think. So we'll see what happens. We want to get back and get off this question. Flash Waller is here. Pissed off or pissed on, Flash? Flash Waller said pissed off. So, and you know what? No one ever asked me what I would want. Did I ever tell you that story about Harry Fuji in the shower? Let me not go down that road. But anyway, fans, we're over half an hour in. Let's get off the chicanery. Let's get on to what we came here for, which is professional wrestling. I want to break down Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Friday Night Alley Fights. The 1-year anniversary is tomorrow night. The main event is for the first ever Friday Night Alley Fights Heavyweight Championship.
Excuse me, Big Daddy. Sergeant Murray.
You cut me off, Mancini.
Pissed off or pissed on?
Depends on how much I'm paying a hooker.
Whoa!
That comes from a true veteran.
And entering the building, fans, you never know what you're going to get down here at the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility at the Diadamo and Tracy Bail Bond Studio. Sergeant Murray, the United States champion, has entered the building, and he would also like to say his vote is pissed on if it was allegedly a streetwalker, which there's nothing wrong with that. But aren't the Friday Night Alley fights 1 year the first ever heavyweight championship between the man with the best brows in the business, Ty Shine, as he takes on All Hail the King, Nutrius X. Also, a 3-way tag team match with the former Paradise Alley tag team champions. Their house, their rules, not anymore. Former.
Foreskin?
Not foreskin, former.
Oh.
The House of Pain, Nick Payne and Hakeem Ali take on they take on the Zoltan out of WXW. They've been here before. They took on a House of Pain up at one of our casino shows at Mohegan Sun Casino, and the Zoltan is well versed.
Former.
I think we get it, kid. Also, in that same bout, the 3-way tag match, the Streets. Tell me what you know about the Streets, kid.
The Streets, I honestly don't know much about them. They haven't been in PAPW.
Well, that's going to be one hell
So
of a...
I'm looking forward to that, seeing what they're about. Against the former tag team champions.
And I know Nick and Hakim are listening. And, kid, when they see you, they may slap the shit out of you. You know that, right? For once, no one's threatening to slap the shit out of me. Wait, Perez is... He's looking at me. I may be next.
You might think you're a BK broiler.
Well, you know, he does like the BK broiler, along with the chili cheeseburger from Duchess. But let's get back to the 1-year anniversary. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. bell time. Also, the rematch of the two Roma prodigies, Flash Waller and MIT. And let me tell you something. At the last Paradise Alley event, these two rookies, prodigies, tore down the house. Mancini, you trained two of these men.
Well, Big Daddy, that's
break it down.
What, you know, it's funny because when you introduced them in the facility at the Diodamo and Tracy Bail Bonds facility here at Paradise Alley
Studio. Diodamo and Tracy Bail Bonds Studio at the Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling Training Facility. And Bangkok.
That doesn't roll off the tongue. That doesn't roll off the tongue.
You think Big Steve wants to chase people over in Bangkok? Because I'll go.
Listen, it explains why when you introduced these two gentlemen, they were at the opposite end of the spectrum of the facility.
Well, we do have to keep them apart. Sarge is down here. Listen, there's a lot of heat between Waller and MIT. They're just breaking into the business. They're Romer trained. They're Mancini trained. Listen, they've already had some excellent matches against each other. It's going to be a big night tomorrow night. So to have these two down here, you're right. They're standing across the facility. At any moment, it could break out here at the training facility.
They are, who's that? They are youngsters.
Also, you know who's going to be here making his debut at Friday Night Alley Fights, and he's a hell of a veteran. He's a phenomenal athlete. Hard-hitting Bobby Ocean will be here from Slick Wagner Brown's Test of Strength, one of the co-trainers up there. Now listen, it doesn't get better than SWB, Rise Up, Test of Strength, and Bobby Ocean. He'll be here. He's worth the price of admission alone tomorrow night. Also making his debut, Rick Reckon. Also, the Pyramids of Power with Abdul Haq. I don't know if they're going to the camel toe races, the camel jockey races. It doesn't really matter at this point. They will be here tomorrow for the 1-year anniversary, as will HVO.
Pollock, it's Rick Recon.
See, you know what, Sergeant Murray? You know what you are, Murray?
I
respect you. You're a legit badass.
But you know what he was right now?
Country.
Big Daddy, you know what he was right now?
He served in the military.
You know what he is right now, though?
Tell me what he is.
He's a cocksucker.
Wow, Mancini. Wow. Listen, what is going on here tonight? And here he is
I
again.
gotta hear about this fucking grill.
Listen, could you at least put some bass into your voice? He's 6'1", 300 pounds. He's an extra roast beef and mayo sandwich away from 310, and he's talking like a half a queer, for Christ's
I'm one
sakes.
beef and cheddar away from a stroke, Big Daddy, but thank you for that.
Wow. Listen, you got to give Sergeant Murray, United States champion, a lot of credit. What is he now, 75? He's just making his debut? He just made his debut. Oh, you can't make it up here. So, fans, Friday Night Alley Fights, tomorrow night, the 1-year anniversary. Showtime for all you chump suckers. Showtime Marcel Williams will be here tomorrow night. And I know, chump suckers, you're all listening. So big night tomorrow night, kid, for Friday Night Alley Fights. 1-year anniversary. Kid, give me your thoughts on the 3-way tag, the main event, the rookies, the debut of Bobby Ocean, the camel toe races, whatever you want to talk about, kid.
You can't give me that broad of a spectrum.
Well, kid, you're the prodigy. You're the one that's interning at Fox Sports, ESPN.
Whoa. NBC Sports.
Hey, kid.
Fuck Fox
Hey,
Sports,
kid.
NBC Sports,
Hey,
and my buddy from Blue Chew commercials,
Hey, kid.
Sean Ross Sapp. He got some nice
Hey,
hair
kid,
from
kid,
Fightful Network.
Kid. Are you cut?
Are you cut, kid?
I don't even know what that means.
How the fuck does he not know what that means? Do you think Sean
Enlighten
Ross
me.
Sapp is
Enlighten
cut?
me.
Sean Ross Sapp, how old do you think SRS is from Fightful Network?
Shit. He told me.
Fuck.
He doesn't need to take Blue Chew. Are you trying to tell me that? Sean, I know you're listening, and I don't give a fuck.
I think he's like 24.
You know that, right?
What
you know
the
I
hell's
don't
Blue
give
Chew?
a fuck.
What is that?
It's
You
like
know
a
what Blue Chew
boner
is.
pill.
It's a boner pill.
He's
Chewable.
from Kentucky, Sean Ross Sapp. He's at the top of the food chain. Listen, this guy's the
Listen,
cutting edge, the
it's
leader.
a boner pill?
It's
Yeah,
a boner
chewable.
pill. Blue Chew.
Listen, I don't need one personally, but where do you get those?
It's for a friend. It's for a friend.
For a friend.
Apparently, you get him from Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp. So I'm going to end up, listen, Sean Ross Sapp is like Conrad Thompson, Bruce Pritchard. He's at the top of the podcast and reporting here in professional wrestling and MMA and boxing. So, Sean, you know this is a work. And if you're offended because I know this, that, I don't really give a fuck. But anyway, it is what it is. Mancini, I want to make this announcement here tonight because tomorrow it will be on channel 82 on Sirius XM Radio, on Mad Dog Radio. God bless you, kid. Mancini, are you paying attention? I'm ready to talk about MorningMen and the Foul Nation.
He's looking up Blue Chew for a friend.
He's looking up Blue Chew. For who?
For a friend.
Foul Nation doesn't need Blue Chew. Perez, are you listening to me, Perez? Is anybody fucking listening to me right now? There's about 15 wrestlers down here right now. Richard Holiday's on his way down. Mancini and the kid are looking at porn or Blue Chew or something like that. And I'm trying to talk about Mike Babchik, Evan Cohen, Sirius XM, MorningMen. And tomorrow, you'll be listening to the Guardian of Chaos. Throw it out there, Mancini. I need you, Mancini. Because Babchik, you have
a bad check?
Not a bad check. Although we're very familiar with that here at Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. People giving us bad checks. Mancini, I need your full attention here, Mancini. Put that down. Get it out of your hands. Put it down.
I'm almost there, though, Big Daddy.
You have to
He's almost
assist me.
finished.
I'm coming to you for help as the former WWE veteran.
Go ahead. You just finished.
Perez, how many minutes in are we?
When a man loves a woman. Go ahead.
Shamalama.
Oh, we didn't say the wrestler's name yet, Big Daddy. You're out of cue.
The story of my life. You know what Bully Ray on Busted Open Radio said to me one time before?
What's that?
Well, he said it to me a couple of times. And he's kayfabing me on Twitter, too.
Kind of like Matt
Cocksucker.
Stryker.
They're all Matt Stryker, too. No, he didn't call me a cocksucker, but he said, give Big Daddy 5 spots, and he'll fuck up for him.
Big Daddy, what's going on with Matt
Yeah,
Stryker?
fuck Matt Stryker. How about that? How about if I say fuck Matt Stryker? Because I got heat with him. Okay, back to Mohegan's Son at Crazy 8 when he went up against Paul Roma. He talked a lot of smack to me. He egged me on behind the broadcast booth. He tried to call me out throughout the whole match, and then Roma slapped the shit out of him and pinned him anyway. But here's the deal. We have to rescue the Foul Nation and Mike Babchik from MorningMen on Mad Dog Radio. He came to us. First off, Babchik is an unbelievable entertainer. I will say this about him. He smells. He's got pimples all over his back. He's got a very small pecker, if you will, a la Howard Stern, yourself.
Myself. Thanks for throwing me in the ring there, Big Daddy.
But Babchik is coming to us for help in the morning, man.
Well, you know
He's got heat with Stryker.
Listen, I am willing to help anybody, especially when it's against Matt Stryker.
You don't. That's right, because you got an issue with Stryker. And you know what? I hope you're listening, Stryker. I know the Foul Nation is listening. I know Evan Cohen, MadDogRadio, and especially Babs is listening. Mancini, we have to find him. Listen to MadDogRadio tomorrow morning. This is what's going to happen.
I listen to MadDogRadio every day, Big Daddy.
Well, Sirius XM. I've been a subscriber for 15 years.
Myself
and anyway,
also.
back to Babs and Foul Nation. Stryker has threatened to kick his ass. And coming up at WrestleCon on WrestleMania weekend, WrestleCon is going to be huge in the city for WrestleMania that week, and it's coming up in April. I believe Stryker is threatening to slap the shit out of Babs. Babs approached us knowing you're a former WWE guy.
I'm not going to let
We
that
have
happen.
the training facility here.
I'm not going to let that happen.
We need to train this short-peckered, smelly degenerate.
Oh, he wants to learn how to wrestle.
Listen, he thinks he's going to get in the
Well,
ring with
he's
Stryker.
coming to the best wrestling facility in the country.
Well, you know why? Because Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling has 4 things that no other organization in this country has. And there's a lot of good ones out there. 4 former WWE, WWF, WCW wrestlers that worked for 10 years under Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And that would be Mario Mancini, second-generation grappler Paul Perez, Big Steve Tracy, and the man who has his hands full when he goes to the bathroom, former 4 Horsemen, Power and Glory, Pretty Wonderful, Paul Roma. That's what Paradise Alley has. That's why Babchik and I are getting this together to try to take on Stryker. And we need you. I need you, Mancini.
Let me tell you something.
I need you.
I'll say this to Babchik right now.
Babs, if you will.
I'll teach him for free if he's going to tear Stryker apart.
Now, listen, I don't know if you're familiar with Babs. He just got back from the Super Bowl. He's out there in dance videos. He's on Twitter. He's a very famous guy, as is Evan Cohen and the MorningMen. The only thing that you have in common right now with Babchik when it comes to professional wrestling is you both have small peckers. That's the only thing you have. Well, I don't think you smell, man.
Big Daddy, when I get done with him,
The purple helmet.
he will have Stryker in such a painful Boston crab.
Could you teach Babchik the Somerset flip? Did I say Somerset?
I could teach
Sunset.
A
You
la
got fucked it
Sal
up again.
G. A la Sal Giordano. I'm going to give you the Somerset flip.
Do you think you could whip Babchik into shape?
I can.
How long do you... Listen, if this goes down... Because, listen, we don't know yet. Because Stryker's a former educator, former teacher, WWE superstar. Matt Stryker is a phenomenal athlete. Don't get me wrong. I respect him that way. He's an unbelievable grappler. He's an unbelievable announcer, Lucha Underground, everybody else. But guess what? Can we get Babs to get in there and maybe with you and I in his corner, maybe we could pull this off against Stryker. I have no doubt in you,
Big
Mancini.
Daddy, let me tell you something. I have no doubt in Stryker's ability, but let me tell you this.
Babs, listen up.
I've been in the ring countless times with the Hitman. Countless times with Ted DiBiase. King Kong Bundy. The Undertaker. I have been everywhere and wrestled everyone. And I have to say that my girlfriend thinks
Why the fuck
It's-
is your phone
it's
going off in the middle of the podcast?
fucking appropriate to call me right in the middle of the podcast. You know why, Big Daddy? I'll tell you why.
Unbelievable.
Because she is fucking number one. You understand? I could be sitting here with the President of the United States. Rita
Oh,
calls.
fuck Donald
You
Trump, too.
pick up the phone. Let me tell you something, Big Daddy.
Listen, we're talking
I
about
have been
MorningMen.
in the ring with all the great legends, and I've learned
Well, Babchik
everything.
likes pussy,
I've
too.
learned things
I
from
could say that,
each
can't I,
and
Press?
every one of them. And I could instill my talent into Babs, and he can take down Matt Stryker.
And now, admit it, Mancini, there is nobody to have in your corner. Nobody better to have in your corner than who, Mancini? The Guardian of Chaos. And let me ask you a question. What the fuck is going on here tonight at Mario Chaos and the Kid podcast? Not only do we have a bunch of workers, which is fine, Sergeant Murray's back there either drilling somebody or drilling something, banging stuff in the middle of the fucking podcast.
I saw a camera go back there. I think Sergeant Murray's doing an episode of This Old House.
Do you think Sergeant Murray is walking softly and carrying a big stick?
He's carrying a pretty big drill.
Well, I know he did team with Hacksaw Jim Duggan at the Mohegan Sun. Oh! That could have been Sergeant Murray.
Was that against Ding Ding?
That was against the Pyramids of Power in Ala Ding
Ding
Ding.
Ding! You put the... Go ahead.
Shama-lama. Rama-lama-lama, ding-dong, hey. You put the back into my smile child. That is why. We're off the fucking rails here at Mario Chaos.
Otis, my man!
How about the kid has never seen Animal House?
I'll have to put that on my here. I'll put it in the notes on my phone.
Look, Rita's still on. I'm on the air. Rita's still on story. Hi, hon. How are you? You're on the air.
Perez,
how you doing, Rita?
Perez, what the fuck is going on here tonight? This is totally out of control. Phone calls, wrestlers, training,
drills,
carpenters, drills, masturbation, Babchik, the MorningMen, MadDogRadio.
Bangkok.
What the fuck? Bangkok. What the fuck is going on here?
Big Daddy, I just want to confirm, because you guys are my closest friends, that I'm with the right woman. So I'm going to prove that I am.
What the fuck does that have to do with professional wrestling and training the MorningMen?
Rita, I'm going to put the phone close to the microphone. All right,
now
here we go now.
Hospital right now?
I want you to tell all the people out there in podcast land what my pet name is.
Is this fucking General Hospital? Shh. She said small purple helmet is what she said.
Yeah, my pet name. God, that you call me most of the time. You motherfucker. There you go! Oh!
Wait. Let's have silence. Let's have complete silence here at the studio and say it one more time. Complete silence.
All right. Shh. One more time. What is your pet name for me? One more time. One more time. You were. One more time.
Wow, that's priceless. Listen, Perez, how many minutes in are we? Because we
53. All right, so Big Daddy, listen to me. We have to seriously talk about this.
That's what I was trying to do.
All right, Big Daddy, listen to me.
This is serious business.
Listen to me.
If we make it to WrestleCon, WrestleMania weekend, which is where you deserve to be, as do I. You were there 6 months before the original WrestleMania.
8
so
months
to make your return,
8 months before WrestleMania 1. But Big Daddy, listen to me.
Correct me, huh, kid?
Listen to me.
It's another spot.
Me. You cocksucker. Listen to me.
Ooh.
Listen. Listen to me.
1999.
Listen to me. I'll call you in a little bit. I love you. All right, so listen.
Fuck.
This is February 7th.
Next week on General Hospital.
When is this WrestleCon?
Next week on General Hospital. It's not until April.
April what?
I believe it's the weekend of April 4th and 5th.
All right, so we have 8 weeks, a la Rocky Balboa and Mickey to train Babs to defeat a ring-savvy veteran. Like, listen, did you watch that match at Roma? He was very slick.
Well, Stryker talks. He's very slick. I called the match with him in Roma.
Stryker's very slick. So we have 8 weeks to train this guy to be a savvy ring veteran.
I think it could be done. Listen, with your tutelage, being the trainer for 35 years, 30 years, and with my guidance, a la Captain Lou Albano, the guiding light, we can get this done. Babs, I hope you're listening.
Big Daddy, there is no doubt the secret weapon to the entire match is you. Let me tell you something, Big Daddy, in case the fans are not educated. and these are really hardcore wrestling fans, and they might, by mistake, underestimate you, you can take Lou Albano, Freddie Blassie, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling, Bobby Heenan, and wrap them up into one person, and that one person would equal to the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy.
Well, I'm humbled by that.
So,
remark,
Big Daddy,
Mancini.
I
I'm very
have to say
humbled by
this.
that.
You would be a secret weapon because, Lord knows, you've done a couple things before in the 34 years you've been in this business for your person you've managed to come on top, be victorious.
Speaking of that, go to Twitter, fans, and if you want to see Throwback Thursday, you'll see me getting my ass kicked by Jerry the King Lawler and then taking the sock from Mick Foley along with Slick Wagner Brown. Not one of my finer moments. Go out to Twitter, or as Mancini says, twatter, Big Daddy G of C. That's right, at Big Daddy G of C. G of C, not GLC, G of C.
Is that what you call it now, taking the sock?
That's what I call it now, taking the sock. What are you trying to say? We're not back in Bangkok, Sergeant Murray.
Listen, I think what Sergeant Murray's trying to say is you should take that S out of there and put a C.
Well, Mancini, I told you earlier in the podcast, it was only one time. He was drunk. He was wearing a dress. I tripped and it fell into his mouth. There was duct tape involved.
But, Big Daddy, I want to make it clear that you are a professor in cockology because you were behind the walls for 25 years.
How did we get back to cockology?
Well, I'm just saying.
So listen, the offer's out there. The offer's standing. Fans, we're coming up on an hour. I don't know how much longer we have. Fuck the WWE. Fuck AEW.
Here we go.
Listen.
Here we go.
We got to concentrate on getting Babs into shape. We got to concentrate on Mario Chaos and the Kid.
Well, listen,
tomorrow's the 1-year anniversary of Friday Night
All
Alley
Babs
Fights.
has to do is come down to Paradise Alley, and we're gonna have to watch films on Stryker.
You got to watch
We're
film
gonna have
on
to.
Babchik.
We're gonna have to get him. All right.
He could dance.
He
could
listen.
dance.
He's a cagey son of a bitch, a sneaky guy. That Stryker.
Listen, Stryker was a superstar.
Listen. On top of it, he's had a lot of lunch.
Yes, he has.
He's had a lot
of
of lunch.
So listen, fans, we'd like to get on to more. I had a whole bunch of questions in viewer mail about the Paradise champion Mick Drake, where he's been, about the return of Big Jim and the Meadowlands Monster and Revelation. Where is Richard Holiday, who's working for MLW, Chaotic, PPW, XWA, on his way down here to the studio? Listen, where is Matthias DiNapoli? I mean, what's going on here in Paradise Alley? There's a lot of questions to ask. But, Mancini, we're coming up on an hour. Episode 13 of Mario Chaos featuring the Kid podcast. Mancini, take us out of here. Perez is beside himself. He's definitely now going to slap the shit out of me. It's been one of the craziest episodes we've ever had, episode 13.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for once again joining us for the Mario Chaos and the Kid Show. We will be back on the air next week. We'll see you then.